Welcome to Everything Life Coaching, exploring the art, science, and business of coaching with your host, Noelle Cordeaux, CEO of Lumia. Each week, we dive into cutting-edge coaching trends, interview industry experts, and provide practical insights to help you thrive on your coaching journey. Get ready to expand your coaching toolkit and transform lives, including your own.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everything Life Coaching. I am Noelle, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce one of my dear friends in the world, also a Lumia alum and coach. Kathryn, how are you today?
I am so excited to be doing this with you today. I just can't wait for the magic that unfolds and all the things that we get to chat about.
Me too. Me too. And I want to give everyone a primer as to why I've invited Kathryn to speak to us today. Is you've been on such an amazing professional journey, and there was a point at which you had gone through coach training, you were working as a coach, and then you decided not to. And then you came back to coaching. And I wanted to highlight this particular journey and give permission to folks to have a really loose, beautiful, accordion-like relationship with the world of coaching, and also shed a little bit of light on some different ways that folks can work as a coach. And your story and journey that you do is so unique in the world that I'm so excited just to share you and your journey and all of your gifts with our crew. So will you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you in the world, and who are you in the world?
Thank you so much for that. I am Kathryn Schwarz. I'm currently in Nashville, Tennessee. And right now, I'm really devoted to nurturing women in expressing their unique creativity and purpose. So a lot of my time, energy, devotion, attention, focus is all being devoted to that. And of course, part of my own journey is how do I uniquely express my creativity and purpose as I'm serving others in this.
Yeah, awesome. 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 We have so much to talk about. All right. So share with us, please, what your relationship is to Lumia, because it has been a long relationship.
It has. It's had a very accordion. I love that image that you gave. Accordion-like, with lots of different roles for me. So when I first said yes to Lumia, it was two rebrandings ago. So it was called Shift at the time. And I was working at ABC Studios in Los Angeles. I was curious about why I had sacrificed so much for this life that I created and still wasn't happy, fulfilled. And I said yes to this coaching program for my own personal development. I had zero intention of being a coach. It was more about how can I come back to myself? I want to learn about positive psychology. I need to figure out what's not working in my life. So it was all for me. And then I was like, but I do produce things like events. And so I partnered or worked for Lumia in the capacity of producing our different retreats and events for a period of time. And again, I wasn't coaching at all. I assumed that or I knew that the training that I received was making me a better producer. That was my kind of line of thinking at the time. And so that was through 2017, 2018, I think I was doing events and retreats with Lumia. And then 2020 was the first time that I started offering coaching services and getting paid for them. So that was 5 years ago now. And to your point, I really had this relationship with the word coach. It really, and to be honest, even today, I know you're like returning to coaching. I'm like, I still don't love the word right now. So I use it kind of loosely, but it's all in this, wellness sphere of how can we guide people to be more of themselves, to what's more fulfilling for them and all of these things. So
When you first started offering your services to help people become more of themselves, what were you doing and what were your goals? Where were you at the origin of all of this?
yes. So I personally, because so much of my own journey is what shapes and shifts what I then, shine outwards for others. I had just been through a big T trauma of being in a mass shooting, the Las Vegas one in 2017, at the end of 2017. And I went on a journey of trauma healing. And now I wanted to share some of the self-care pieces that I would have only learned because I did this deep dive into trauma healing. I wanted to make them mainstream self-care because with all of my creativity background, I was like, actually, this is about nurturing creativity. All of the nervous system care is about flourishing. It's not just about getting from depressed and anxious to neutral. It's also supporting us in coming from a grounded place to flourishing and thrive. So when I first started, end of 2020, we were in the pandemic, and I was very much like, I have self-care guidance to help you embody in your life for you to feel better. I was mostly supporting women. At the time, it was a lot of moms, mostly supporting women who were anxious, depressed, or burned out in some way. Those were the people that I was supporting.
And then from there, you went on a journey into different modalities.
Yes, this is where the word coaching I leaned away from it for a while because, well, it's so funny. When I first went through Lumia training, when I would tell someone about coach training, everyone thought it was related to sports. Like, that's how far away we've come. Do you know what I mean? Where, like, when I first started talking about it, you had to like tell people what a life coach was. And now it's so much a part of, in my experience, it's much more part of mainstream understanding and culture now. But with that, there's like a certain connotation that comes with the word that's all about forward motion and taking action to change your life. And I was really getting into this very divine feminine space of like, well, if we're listening to our intuition, we're not making a strategy and hitting specific goals and go, 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 and, moving in this divine masculine way. It's actually a very non-linear, intuitive, divine feminine way of healing and moving through the world. And I personally was receiving a lot of Reiki on my own journey. Then I got certified. So I'm a Reiki 3 practitioner. So then I was focused more on like, I don't even want to talk in sessions anymore. Let's do energy stuff. Like, I don't even want to talk about a strategy. Like, let's just make your body feel better. We can connect and talk, obviously, but it's not about like a plan and moving forward. It's about being with and being present with and honoring the emotions and the energy and all of these other like intangible things, which is why I leaned away from
Coaching. And as I'm listening to you and thinking about, my own journey, your journey, the journey of so many folks who are looking to connect with different experiences, different aspects of their being, aspects of spirituality, because of the world that we live in and the social conditioning that so many of us bump up against with that optimization focus, with that striving focus, it occurs to me that implicitly people probably do need a little bit of support with strategy in how to get in touch with being still.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
1,000%.
amazing.
How can we slow down? How can we be more present? What are the tools? What are the practices? What are the ways of being? And just being in my energy while I'm practicing it is affecting your nervous system and helping you practice it, right? Like there is, again, this like intangible, energetic type of guidance that's happening. That's not strategy cap.
So let's keep going on the journey, because I know there's more to uncover. So now we're in this space of healing, energy work, really getting in touch with like how to work with humans and aspects of our humanness that we can't see. Where did you go from Reiki?
What I'm doing now is human design and gene keys, sharing it intuitively with clients, again, to support nurturing creativity and purpose. So, human design tried to come into my life first in several different ways. And I was like, another system, like, I can't with this, like it seemed too complicated, all the things. And then I came to understand, like, oh, it actually, one of its layers is the chakra system, which is what I'm already using in Reiki. Another one of its like ancient systems that's layered in is astrology, which was actually pretty pivotal in my own healing journey. So it's like I'm down with these two pieces of it. So if it's a system that combines both of those, now I'm curious. And then the first couple things that I started reading about it, when I read about my energy type, was not designed to hustle and initiate and take action, like all of this tension that I was feeling about. I don't want to keep teaching people that we're constantly supposed to be taking action and moving forward. It really resonated with me that like we're actually supposed to find a different way of being where we are being with ourselves, with our energy, with our emotions, and being in presence. And that is what draws things to us. That is what helps us move forward. It's, again, the divine feminine of like attracting in as opposed to pushing forward or forcing out. So I went down a deep rabbit hole of human design first, and even gene keys at the time. I was like, oof, too complicated, too poetic. Like, I don't want to get into this. So for the first year, it was all just human design, where I was starting to teach about like, how can we come into alignment with our unique energy? What's energetic hygiene? What are the practical tools? And then last year, I was in a mastermind learning more about human design, and my teacher brought in gene keys. And then I was ready for it. And it has this beautiful depth around your specific gifts that you are here to radiate. And so now when I'm working with a client, I like see both of the systems when I'm looking at their chart, and I intuitively ping around their chart based on what they're saying to help nurture them to be more of themselves. So it's not a reading of human design and gene keys. It's not a coaching session. Again, with these kind of, I've stopped trying to put labels on like what my title is or what the session is called, and really leaning into my energy is what's speaking loudest. If people want to work with me, it doesn't actually matter what words I use. Like, I'm just going to be more of me, which is what I'm teaching other people to do as well. How can you uniquely be more of you? And if there are labels that aren't fitting or not quite resonating, like, don't try to fix them. Just be more of you. Like, just keep reaching for what's more uniquely you.
Absolutely. And this is a conversation that is really important for coaches, for wellness practitioners, for all sorts of folks who work in all sorts of different modalities and applications. In Lumia, in my office hours, a conversation that comes up a lot is around, how do we talk about ourselves? How do we describe ourselves? How can we be more of ourselves? And what you're describing of, different pieces of information coming to you or different things showing up in your world for you to pick up or pay attention to or not. A lot of people experience that with coaching when they have that first kernel of an inkling of there's this thing out there that I'm curious about, and there's something about me that can be of service and of value to others, to society, to the world. And then people start to kind of bring it together as they start learning more and more and more about coaching, about the world, about all sorts of different layers of the ways that you can work with people. A question I wrote down before we hopped on was, can you talk a little bit about the intersection of purpose and the experience of self-knowing? So when folks are beginning to notice that, as you're describing, they're attracting things to them, they're aware of the world, and they're like, there's maybe something I should be doing or paying attention to here. What is that like? How does it show up? What's your experience of helping people to get more into being themselves?
First, I'll say from the human design perspective, which I really love and embrace, is your purpose is not what you do. It is who you be, no matter what you do. Right? It is your energy that you are radiating, whether I'm sitting here on a podcast with you or in my coffee shop talking to the barista, or like, your purpose is to be more of you. Right? There's a slight like taking the pressure off of like, how can I be of utmost service to the world? There are places in your chart, to look at that and to explore and contemplate. And of course, that weaves into you being uniquely you. But this idea that the intersection of self-awareness and purpose is that they are the same. Like, you being more of you is your purpose in my point of view. The more that you are uniquely sharing your unique perspective on what you're learning, what you're experiencing, how you uniquely connect the dots between Reiki and human design and gene keys, or that's for me, right? But for each person, it's a creative act. I mean, this is why I use the word creativity. It's a creative act. Like, there is energy, emotion, part of your spirit is moving through you and being shared with others. And like, that's going to happen on an unconscious level regardless. You're already doing that. So you can take off some of the pressure, like finding your purpose. You're already being you. But the deeper your self-awareness goes, the more you can intentionally reach for certain things that make you feel better, or reach for environments that make your body feel the best that it can be, so you're prepped to have hard conversations. Whatever it is, like, the more you know about yourself, the more you're able to shine your light, radiate your gifts, give yourself permission to be more of who you came here to be and to experience more of what your soul came here to experience.
I'm going to take a snippet of this recording and send it to every single person who starts in our coach training program, because that's why people show up, is to begin to figure out how to express the thing that they are here to do. And everyone is so unique. And everyone who comes through our doors is an impact-driven professional. And all of us have our own uniqueness that only we can deliver in our very, very rare way. And something that I'm noticing that I think is really important to highlight is that in addition to creativity, there is also an element of bravery that comes into play. When you were early in your study of human design, I had the privilege of being one of the people that you were getting to know from this perspective. And there have been over the years, like, these little snippets that really stand out in my brain in terms of like uniqueness of who we are. And one of the things that you said to me probably 2 years ago was, Noelle, you are a leader of people, but only on your own terms. And that knocked me for a loop, because what does it mean to be a leader of people on my own terms? What does it mean to turn the dial from servant leader, completely servant, to sovereign leader?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's
Right.
the difference between you being in your uniqueness and you comparing yourself to others and trying to do it somebody else's way.
Somebody else's way, or in a codependent way, martyring myself, for others. And it was such an impactful snippet of layering and layering. So I want to give everybody who's listening, if you're at the starting line of coaching, I'm 16 years in. Kathryn, you're many years in, maybe
5
7.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's okay to be yourself and begin to breathe into this expression of yourself. And because it requires bravery, because this is outside of the way society tells us, it does really require a little bit of education and support, which is, even though you're not really loving the word right now, this is why my perspective is the work that you're doing aligns so closely with the discipline of coaching as I teach and train folks on it. What are the different ways that you work with clients? What's it like when somebody comes into your space? What is that experience like of, say, coaching someone to get into their own flow?
Beautiful. There was something that I wanted to respond to before that, though. This piece of support feels really loud to me, that it's a big theme with my clients. And I like to share that, like, when you imagine the kind of impact that your soul is craving to have in the world, right? Like the kind of how big the impact is, right? From a heart-led space. You are here to receive double that bigness in support. You cannot do that kind of impact unless you are supported twice as much. And this, particularly for women, this piece of self-sacrifice of, well, I'm just going to grit and use my determination. And if I pour myself into my clients or pour myself into others and serving others, that is the best path forward. And this piece of, it's not sustainable. It's not allowing you to shine in your brightest, that you can have success that way. It won't feel good in your body. It will feel like chaos. You can have success. It will not feel like abundance. It will hit a ceiling and it will feel like burnout and chaos without the support and the honoring your uniqueness in the process. So, twice the amount of support, everyone.
Stay with this for a second, because this is hitting me really hard. And I feel all sorts of emotions coming up, because I've lived this. I've lived this version of pinnacles of success and it feeling terrible. And not only me, like as I travel through the world and talk with so many other leaders, so many other CEOs, coaches, business people, everybody attached to our organization and beyond, this is something that is actually plaguing all of us, I believe, that there's a lack of connection with what it actually means to be content and supported in your life. Folks out there, this feels daunting to a lot of folks. And, to hear, for me to hear you say it, of, the impact that I am capable of having, I'm going to need double the support. The first thing that comes up for me is, holy shit, how do I get the support? So where do we begin?
I mean, my answer is going to be your intuition's going to tell you where to begin. That there's probably a face that came to mind, or there's a podcast that came to mind, or there's a training that's speaking to you, or, you're drawn to something. I'm going to say your body knows where to get the support. Now, with human design, I can look at someone's chart and say, these are the ways that your body speaks to you. These are the practices that you could play with and experiment with and see how it feels in your body. But human design would suggest that your intuition speaks to you this way. So let's develop that. Let's see how that feels in your body. Because again, each person is unique and there are so many layers to your chart. But the question of how do I get started? My response is slow down and give yourself some space to ask yourself, what's my first step to getting more support, and see what comes up.
Do people have all sorts of different experiences with their intuition? Or
Yes.
okay, so what does it feel like to experience your own intuition?
Yeah. So this was really humbling for me when I got to human design, because I was teaching intuition for my coaching and Reiki life. And what I was doing was I was teaching the ways my intuition speaks to me. And then I learned, human design, and was like, oh, that's because I have 5 of the 8 ways that that human design would teach intuition. I have 5 of those consistently in my body. So that makes sense. I'm teaching the 5 that I know. And then being like, oh, there are these 3 other ones that might be supportive to clients, but I haven't experienced them as strongly in my body. So I wasn't teaching them. And now I think about clients that were sharing some of their experiences and being like, oh, I bet it was that one. So human design will teach that there are 2 primary foundational things to learn. And if you don't learn anything else about your chart, your life will come into alignment if you learn and play with these 2 things. And essentially what it is there is a way in which your specific energy type, there are 5 options. You and I are both generators. There's a way in which a generator receives and recognizes signals from the universe, something outside of us. And then depending on your authority in human design, which is one of these 8 options, your body will tell you how to recognize what's right for you. So it's this co-creative dance between the universe sending you things and your body saying, this is right. Or your body being excited about something and the timing isn't right yet until the universe sends you the green light. So it's this dance between universe, spirit, God, source, love, whatever you might call some greater intelligence that is a loving force outside of yourself. And then there's the self-awareness within yourself that's constantly dancing. So that's a broad view. And then there's an energy center in human design that's all about intuition. And there are 7 gifts inside that energy center. So depending on what gifts you have lit up, that will tell you more about how your intuition works. There's lots of layers.
Lots of layers. Now, when we are working with clients, part of what we do is we lend our own intuition to the session. How does that show up for you? How do you utilize your own intuition on behalf of another human?
I love this question because when I first started learning about my gifts in human design and gene keys, some of the most prominent gifts, I was like, I don't resonate with that so much. That's so interesting. I must have a lot of resistance or conditioning there. But when I learned about a specific placement that's called your core talent, and mine is intuition, I was like, okay, yeah, this. I've been teaching intuition. I know, all of these things. It suddenly was like, yes, let's dive into this gift. I really understand it. So it gave me a lot of permission to then say, if part of my core talent of what I'm uniquely here to radiate in a way that others cannot radiate, right? It's my unique medicine. It's taught in the gene keys. This placement is like, this is how I'm of the utmost service to the world. When I share this gift, it actually helps people get out of their comfort zones and move into a higher level of consciousness and a higher frequency of love. It gave me the permission to stop biting my tongue about the intuitive hits that I was getting in sessions. And for me to say to people, set the expectation ahead of time that like part of why you come to me is because I'm using my intuition. I'm going to listen to what you're saying, and my intuition will guide me to pieces of your chart that most want to be spoken about right now, or that are most going to be supportive to you right now. And so for me, intuition, I have mine's connected a lot to hearing. So you'll see me close my eyes a lot so that I can really hear certain things, right? It's connected to when you were speaking earlier and the word support jumped out at me and you wanted to go do another question, I listened to my intuition and said, I have to go back to the word that was jumping out to me because I hear it. That's part of how my intuition speaks to me. And also by looking at someone's chart just as they're speaking. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm like, ooh, she's talking about this and that, and let me get into this. I know it's going to help.
What you're describing is so important for folks who are in coach training and who are early in their practices, because this is a huge part of that other sense of knowing. I am not at all versed in human design or gene. I am not a Reiki master, and yet I had this experience in session last week. I had a client who was talking to me about a problem, and the client expressed almost in passing that they had a creative itch. And those words, just for whatever reason, when I heard those words, creative itch, I was like, I need to follow that thread. And it in my conscious mind, my rational mind, my thinking mind was inclined to follow the agreement that was set by the client. They wanted to work on something specific, but yet this creative itch was jumping out at me. And I shared that I had that pull with my client, and it was very meaningful for my client. And we ended off going on a journey that led to an incredible breakthrough. And after the session, we talked about it, and I described what had happened for me of this noticing, of this knowing. And that's what it felt like for intuition to show up. And so, for all of us, I think this is a really important lesson on like when the words jump or the feeling jumps or the color or the sound or the smell or whatever aspect of sensing comes forward. Part of our job is to lend our talents to the client.
Yes, so beautiful. And that this piece of following our intuition, that's why the coaching word wasn't resonating with me so much, because I wouldn't stick to a strategy. I wasn't sticking to a specific path, because the intuitive path takes you where you need to go in a very non-linear way. And it will only show you one step at a time. It shows you one step and you have to take action on it. And then it'll show you another step that might be going in a complete zigzag in a way that you don't understand. The mind will not understand, because intuition comes from the body. It doesn't come from the mind. And it can't be explained logically or strategically or analyze it. Or it's this feeling of, I don't know why it's this, but it's this.
What you're describing for me is the practice of very advanced coaching. What you're describing as formulaic, following a path, following a strategy, needing it to make sense to the analytical mind is beginner's mind coaching. When you get into the depth of practice as an advanced coach, a lot of what you do is really hit that intuitive piece hard and follow the threads, especially based on emotional sensing of the tonality of the client and not what they say, but how they say it, to be really curious about any kind of deeper meaning. Um, I want to take us in a little bit of a different direction. And the the question that is coming up for me is around authenticity and how we show up and how we present ourselves to the world, how we adorn ourselves, how we show up. Now, this is an area where me included and most coaches experience deep anguish.
Yes.
How do we show up as radically ourselves? And I know that you have been on a most glorious journey with your own presentation of authenticity and changed and morphed and rebranded yourself over time and over the years to constantly accurately reflect who you are and who you are in your practice. Can you talk a little bit about what that has been like for you to experience from an emotional perspective, from a tactical perspective? How do we do it? How do we get in front of this stuff?
All I want to talk about is human design and gene keys. So it's just what I'm obsessed with right now. And it's this piece of like, how did I come into this next evolution of me? For me specifically, I learn through experiences. So I have to try things on. I have to like really have the courage and the trust that like when I'm putting an offer out there, that because I know more about my design now, I know that I'm never going to put the same offer out there twice. So the part of me that looks to the other coach who has this beautiful signature program that can be resent out season after season, and that part of me that compares and wants that, you know, I come back into myself being like, Katherine, it's never going to look like that for you because you are a line 3 profile. You are the great experimenter. You are always reiterating and changing where you're going and refining and all of the things. So it's more authentic to me as I get more comfortable with the experiments to share with people that they are experiments. So I'm saying I'm putting this offer out there for anyone who's interested right now. I may never do this again, and I'm going to learn from whatever this is and build on it. Who's along for the ride? Like, that's what I offer. It's not something that, like, if you're not up for it now, it's going to come around again in 3 months because I don't know what I'm going to do in 3 months from now. And that's authentic to me. But so that's just one piece of my chart. But other pieces about really learning what our unique gifts are. It really gives us the permission slip to play with it and say, if I double down on this, what would that look like for me? If I double down on, I'm here to teach and share about intimacy, if that became my focus, what would I let go of in my life? Because I uniquely am here to share about that in a way that somebody else can't. That's not me. That's not my gift that I'm sharing about. But for me, it's this creativity piece, and I've been resisting it for a while. But this piece of, I have lots of layers in my chart that say I uniquely nurture creativity. As I stop shying away from using that word, it feels better in my body. And I'm attracting the clients that actually want to be doing what my soul really wants to do. So again, it's this intersection of like self-awareness and then how you present what you're understanding about yourself. You have the courage to express it and share it. That is authenticity to me. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of support, because the only reason why we're not naturally doing this already is because we've lived these lives that have told us that in order to belong, we need to conform in some way. And then there's this primal fear underneath that if I'm really myself, I won't belong, which means I'll be isolated, which means I'll die. Like, that is the fear underneath. That, this piece of I won't belong. I'll be too strange. I won't be able to find my people. I won't have connection. When actually it's the flip. It's like the more you're yourself, the more authentic the connections will be. The more you belong to yourself, the more you will find belonging with other, in groups of other people. But we've been conditioned that it's the opposite.
And from a very tactical and practical perspective, this is really impactful. Something you said that I think is really important was about your relationship with experimenting, and that you try something, you learn from it, and you build upon it. I remember your brand when it was really grounded in Reiki, and you were dressed in white, and the pictures were stunningly beautiful and evoked calm. And, then transitioning into the practice that you have now, it required a really big, brave change. Tell us about it.
Yes. And during the process, like even the process of stepping into sharing human design and gene keys, and what did I want that to look like from a visual perspective, I really had to have the courage when talking with my website designer and talking with my photographer that I wasn't going to do, even though I valued their expertise, I wasn't going to do it the way that they wanted me to do it, or the way that they usually do it, right? There's a piece of me that, as I'm more grounded and centered in who I am, I have this internal struggle when someone's like, but this is the way to do it. And I'm like, maybe, let me try. But I'm like, no, I know that that's not the way for me. I have to do it this other way. So even the idea of like wearing bright colors, as part of my branding photos, right? The website designer is like, we need like 2 or 3 colors. Or it's really making, like she was saying, like it's making me nervous that it's so many colors. I don't know that she used the word nervous, but you get the point, where it's like, to her, the strategy is pick 2 or 3. And I had to be like, I really see a bright, colorful hummingbird as my guide on this, and it has so many colors. I don't know what to tell you, except it's going to be more than 2 or 3 colors, and I'm going to wear brightly colored overalls. That's just what I'm going to do. So how can we move with that? And then with the photographer, again, I've got like patterns going on. And again, the typical strategy is choose 2 or 3 colors, so that there's a theme through your websites, that there's a brand color, all these things. It was like, I really tortured myself trying to come up with 2 or 3 outfits that would have all the things. And I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm not doing this. It feels terrible in my body. They're not like trying to make me do this. They're just teaching the way that they know has worked for them. Like, I need to show up and push back. I need to show up and say, this is what's right for me. And so, and I didn't even get that much resistance once I was doing that. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like it caused conflict. It was actually the photographer being like, okay, well, if you're going to be in brightly colored clothes, then that means that your backdrop, we need some like more neutral colors so that you stand out. And I'm like, yes, obviously, let's make me stand out. That's the whole point, you know? And it for people that are open and willing to be in that co-creative process, collaborative process, it helps them grow and helps them see things in a different way. And then you're like uniquely creating something together. But I was giving my power away to people that I thought knew better. It was their expertise. They have success, whatever that is. It comes up for all of us, but it's this piece somebody knows better than me, and really questioning, they aren't in your body. They aren't in your sessions. They don't know better than you. And it's not to say to dismiss the wisdom that's being given or the medicine or the uniqueness that's coming towards you, but you can't, or the invitation is, let's not shrink and hide. Let's meet it with our own uniqueness and what feels good to us.
Yes. And I what you're describing, I think is the path that is so recognizable to anyone who's ever built a website, of like, I want it to represent me. I want it to feel like me. And yet it feels so hard to be able to get that self-expression over the line because we're scared of speaking up, of saying who we are, of representing ourselves authentically, and the whole nine. So I
am remembering the photo shoot for the Reiki piece, and I'm remembering sending you the photos, right? I remember receiving them and having like my gut, like have my stomach drop, right? And you sharing like, there's so much love radiating from these, you know? And I wasn't wearing glasses in half of them. I wear glasses every freaking day of my life all the time, right? And I went out and purchased that dress because it felt like this is what a Reiki practitioner should wear, is a white flowing dress. I wasn't conscious of that as much. But when I got to this other iteration, I was like, I'm wearing these colorful overalls because it's what I wear every day. Like, it is my experiment with the universe of shining my greatest gift, which is the gift 8. It's my personality sun. And I was like, okay, if I'm really supposed to be wearing the colors and the design that speak to me, this is what I'm going to wear. And then I kid you not, every time I would wear them, a stranger would tell me that they liked what I was wearing. And that to me was the universe being like, yep, keep going, keep wearing this. And then it just became funny. And I was like literally every time. And then, so it helped then when I got to this photo shoot to be like, I'm wearing the overalls. Do you know? Like, this is literally what attracts strangers to me in coffee shops. It is what is going to be on my website. And if that means I only have one outfit, so be it. I'm actually really okay with that.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But I have to be okay with it in order for the photographer to then be okay with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the dance that you're talking about, of having your intuition and the universe and the world all come together to meet each other.
Be in alignment, to be in alignment with who you came here to be.
Yes.
How you be in this world. It is your purpose.
How you be in this world. All right. So let's leave folks with some tidbits. Your journey into entrepreneurship, coaching, healing arts has been really extraordinary. And it's been such a privilege to have you among our alumni body and really expanding and doing this work. And a lot of times folks feel intimidated when they're first stepping into this space of, I have these gifts. I know I need to express them. I don't know where to begin. I'm scared to step outside of the norm. And what I'm hearing from you from a personal perspective and from a practitioner perspective is how vital it is to check in with ourselves in stillness and get a sense of like, what do I like? Who am I? Where am I going? What advice would you give to folks who are at the starting line?
So I've already shared this piece, but it's going to change and evolve with you. So just get started. The perfectionism of like, I need to know what it is before I get started is just going to keep you behind the starting line. So even this piece about like, you don't need a full website, you don't need a full anything. Like it doesn't need to look a certain way first. To me, again, it's this following like each step without having the full-blown strategy or launch strategy in place. But this slowing down, what can you do for you to feel good? Because ultimately, I believe people are coming to you because of your energy and what they feel when they're around you. They're not actually coming to you because you have a coaching certification. You use the coaching certification to serve them. Do you know? But what they're not, it's not because you have tools that people come to you. It's because they want to spend time with you. It's because they want access to you, to your energy. And so really taking care of yourself so that when you show up in whatever capacity you show up, it feels good in your body. That is then attracting people who want to be around you. So getting started, to me, it's going to be self-care. It's going to be slowing down. It's going to be pouring into yourself and then having fun. Having fun and not getting too hung up on like the mind wanting certainty about where it's going to go, the mind wanting certainty about how to be successful. Trusting your body that it's going to give you one step at a time in a way that's uniquely yours. You're not here to imitate anyone else.
Very well said. Very well said. And if you would like to spend time with Kathryn Schwarz, she can be found in Nashville. And where can you be found online?
Yes. Well, my current experiment is not being on Instagram. So I stopped that. I mean, I always take hiatuses, but I don't know if I'm going back, to be honest. So I'm not going to point people there, but all of my info is there. So that's at Kathryn Schwarz on Instagram. But really, come to my website, join my email community. You can get your free human design chart on my website. And I already write out like a couple of broad things about your unique purpose on there. So that's kathrynschwarz.me is my website.
Cool. Wonderful. Well, we will have all of those in the show notes for folks. And I love you so much. I hope folks can feel the love coming through this episode. And we will see you all next time.
Thanks for listening to Everything Life Coaching. If today's episode has inspired you to take the next step in your coaching journey, I invite you to explore what Lumia Coach Training has to offer. Our comprehensive coach training program can help you turn your passion and gifts for helping others into a thriving career. Ready to learn more? Book a no-obligation call with our admissions team today. Just visit lumiacoaching.com/everything and click on the Book a Call button. We'd love to hear your story and show you how Lumia can support your coaching goals. And if you're waiting for a sign to take the next step, this is it.